evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever the fuck you're tuning in. This is another episode of Backyard Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports. I got Mode with me tonight. We are yet again without supervision, so we'll see where this night takes us. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. You know, opening that NBA, we got Lakers Nuggets, and fuck, couldn't be a better time, right?
Speaking of Lakers Nuggets, we got a hot take from the Peanut Gallery. Zeke Naji is the difference maker for the Nuggets, not Nikola Jokic.
What?
Just kidding. That's a guy I work with. He's funny. Anyway, really interesting shake it up weekend in the NFL, man. We took it on the chin. It sounds like everybody across the nation took it on the chin. A lot of upsets, a lot of quirky finishes. Whew. It must have been a fun game to be in a bar, or a fun weekend to be in a bar and just see all the craziness going on around you. What are your takeaways from this past weekend, man? We thought we knew something about some of these teams, and this weekend told us differently.
I mean, as a Lions fan, it makes me feel a little better, right?
Right.
I don't know that much makes me feel better after a fucking 38-6 shellacking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a weird week. I think I don't know what we all did. I didn't look back. I think I had 4, right? Maybe.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was a fucking bloodbath.
5-4. You had 3. Jesus, Raul had 5, so he led the way.
Bloodbath. Yeah,
I
Raul
planned to
won the
have
weekend.
5. I figured going into last night I would have 5. No, it sounds like everybody got their ass kicked. This was a good week to not be Vegas, right?
Right.
So I don't know. It's one of those weird things. We always talk about the first couple of weeks being weird. Here we are.
Week 7.
Halfway through the season almost, and it's weird. So, it's football. That's what happens. You can't make any excuses for it. Any given Sunday. Awesome. It's actually awesome. I mean, if you really think about it as an NFL fan, it's kind of an awesome week.
Yeah. You mentioned the Vegas thing, and we actually had the same thing in college football this weekend. I just talked about it on the last show with Bentley. It sounds like it usually on these weekends where we get a lot of upsets or teams, underdogs covering, Vegas takes it on the chin. So it sounds like Vegas might have taken it on back-to-back days, Saturday and Sunday, taking it on the chin. I'm here for that because Vegas usually is taking our money and cashing checks. So,
well, they're taking your money either way. I mean,
house always wins.
Yeah, I mean, we might win. We might have 2 or 3 weeks like this. You got to think in football, it's crazy. We might have 2 or 3 weeks like this in an 18-week season, not including playoffs or preseason, and they just take our cookies.
Vegas cleans up for 16 of those 18 weeks.
That's nuts.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's jump into it, man. Right out the gates, we had a little bit of chalk, in my opinion. Jacksonville was an underdog, but this was your lock. I agreed with it as a lock. We were all in lockstep that Jacksonville is the better team than New Orleans. Talk to me about maybe takeaways from this game. Do you feel great about Jacksonville going forward? Is New Orleans just this bad? I don't know.
I mean,
I couldn't believe they were 2-point favorites. I get they were in the dome, but Jesus.
And they started at 3, I do believe, at one point.
Yeah, and I think
before we made the pick. So there were 2 when I made the pick.
Yep.
I do believe it opened at 3. That was probably a little bit of that patented, like we think they're the same team. So we're going to go to the home team. However, I don't understand where that came from. Jacksonville's been on the up, and I feel like the Saints, we've talked about that defense the first 2 or 3 weeks, and now it's like we've kind of gotten off that train, not just us, but national coverage as well. Yep. So I don't know what the fuck the thought process was here by Vegas, but shit, we'll take it. I mean, maybe we thought that like Jacksonville was getting too used to playing overseas, and now they come back to the States, and now it's going to fuck them up. Jacksonville's looking tough, man. I mean, they narrowly squeak one out here against a tough defense in New Orleans, and, I feel like in one sense, you could have almost a little to hang your hat on here, but I feel like it's positive going forward, especially with the crazy week we had.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Jacksonville is that they've really got the running game going. ETN has been hot as fish grease the last 3 weeks, and when you can run the ball in the NFL, you can do a lot of other things off of the run game, and Jacksonville has that luxury right now that not not a lot of teams in the NFL have, right? There's a handful of teams that really can hang their hat on the run game and be able to do things off of it. And Jacksonville's one of them. And I think that's a big thing for them going forward.
For sure.
All right, shifting ahead. This was the crazy game of the weekend. Maybe, I don't know. There were a lot of crazy ones, but I think the score is really what caught me off guard. PJ Walker starting for Cleveland. Gardner Minshew starting for Indianapolis. Minshew even got nicked up in this game. But it ends up 39-38. And Cleveland's defense, which had been so good the week prior against the juggernaut in San Francisco, really laid an egg against Indianapolis. And this was a wild finish, back and forth. Two offenses that really shouldn't have been moving the ball the way they were. But Cleveland pulls this one out. Should we really be worried as AFC? Maybe if we're a fan of an AFC team, should we be worried about Cleveland other than that defense? 39 points, a lot of points in the NFL.
I don't think they can beat good teams with PJ Walker. I was a little hesitant to commit to them beating good teams with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And I can't commit to that now, especially without Nick Chubb. The combo
just went down.
Well, yeah, the combo of Ford and Kareem Hunt, was like, okay, maybe we can get through some weeks. We got a really good defense. They probably have Myles Garrett looks like the best defensive player in the NFL at the moment. But let's real Deshaun Watson. Is there a bigger fucking pussy out there right now? I don't know what else to call this guy. I don't know it. So this injury is so interesting. I have him in fantasy, and it started as arm fatigue, a shoulder fatigue, and then it was a shoulder bruise, and then it was just a broken shoulder, and now it's he has a I don't know what the fuck happened here, but it really sounded to begin with he just had fatigue from throwing the ball after not throwing the ball last season, and now it's turned into this injury, and is he Andrew Bynum? Does he love the game? I don't know what this dude's deal is. And unfortunately for Cleveland, I feel especially with Chubb out, they go as far offensively as a good quarterback can take them. And I like everybody else has reservations about PJ Walker.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the Andrew Bynum comparison is kind of the way to look at it, right? Is he willing to play through an injury, maybe not even an injury, just being hurt? This has evolved into this weird thing where it almost feels like he's malingering a little bit when it comes to this injury. And you hate to say that as somebody who has no clue about the situation, but as you mentioned, right, it started as this fatigue and then evolved to, is it an AC problem, an AC bruise? Does he need it amputated at this point? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with him. It feels like a guy that got paid and doesn't really want to put himself in harm's way, honestly. I don't know. It's crazy.
And looking at one of the NFL's most promising passers a couple of seasons ago.
He was an MVP candidate 2 years ago before he got into the scandal.
To even have to go down the avenue of does he just not give a shit? Did he get the money and run? That's tough. That's a shitty conversation to have.
It's crazy, but it's justified, right? Wild. All right. Moving on to one of these surprise upsets of the weekend. Buffalo against New England. This one hurts. This one hurts me in terms of conversations that I have with my dad during games. We're always talking Buffalo. So it's always I have that as secondary thing I'm looking at throughout the course. Washington and Buffalo often play in the same window. I don't know what's going on with Buffalo. I don't know who they are, and I don't know who they're going to be in January. Sometimes I feel like they look at themselves as the Heatles, and the regular season, we're just going to mail it in and we'll figure it out in January. You're not that good in January, historically speaking. You haven't been. So for you to just let these games, it feels like they let these games get away. They're running out of steam in an AFC that right now it's KC and everybody else, man. Who's good in the AFC right now besides KC? Miami, we thought they've been beat up by the only two good teams they played this year. Buffalo and Philly have beat up Miami. We thought maybe the Chargers would be able to compete in the AFC West. No, Staley still plagues them, and Justin Herbert, something's wrong with him. Since he gave away the first 3 weeks of the season, Baltimore just beat up Detroit, but they just got beat up the week prior by Indianapolis. Who's good? Who's good in the AFC other than Kansas City?
The most disappointing thing about the Bills, I think, is that we've given
it might be
we've given this take in recent years, right? And not just we, but like we. This is everybody. This is everybody's fault. We've given this take where it's the Chiefs and then it's the Bills and it's probably the Bengals. The difference is the Bengals have been to a fucking Super Bowl,
right?
And the Chiefs' biggest moment is, or the Bills' biggest moment is losing to the Chiefs.
In overtime,
it's their biggest fucking moment with this current roster.
Yep.
And we've given them a pass. We give them a pass every goddamn year. And usually I'm not the one doing it. Usually you guys are giving me shit for not doing it. But this year I fucking did it. Coming into the season, I was like, oh, let's slow down this Miami and this Jets talk. But like there's almost no excuses left to be made for Buffalo. Like they are a team that got more benefits of the doubt than they should have. And now they're just not even coming up to like they're like a fucking 12-win team that can't win 10 games all of a sudden. Like that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And fuck, I'll be damned if I was like, let's calm down with Miami. Let's calm down with the Jets shit with Aaron Rodgers. Like the Bills are still in control of this division. Nah, fuck them. Like they don't deserve it. They lost to the Jets opening week. This was embarrassing against another divisional opponent. The wife actually was like, well, I know you're going to stream the Lions game. What game's going to be on network? And I said, Bills Patriots. She was like, oh, that's probably not going to be competitive. I said, well, give it a second. Sometimes those divisional games, they tend to be
division foe.
I didn't believe what I was saying necessarily, but
you were solid.
I was going with the old fucking by the book answer, and goddamn, did it turn out to be a good game? And not if you're a Bills fan. I mean, that's shit's embarrassing, but shit, I don't know, man. The Patriots have looked dead too.
Yeah.
Like we've given up on them. They had numerous mouth-to-mouth chances. They fucking didn't suck air, and now all of a sudden they're just beating the Bills.
Yeah, and Corey, I have to disagree on this because Jim Kelly went to 4 straight Super Bowls, man. Like, didn't win a Super Bowl, but Josh Allen hasn't been to a single Super Bowl yet. Listen, I thought about something.
He's barely been to a conference game. Like,
yeah. So I thought about something this weekend, and you have to stay with me a little bit on this logic, okay? I thought about the AFC East. There's one team that I trust in the AFC East, and it's not because I think they're the best team in the AFC East. It's not because I think they're the best team in the AFC. I don't think that they're a Super Bowl contender, but I know what I'm getting with them week in and week out, and that's the New York Jets, man.
Yeah.
I know that I'm getting good defense. I know that they're going to ask Zach Wilson not to fuck it away. I know they're going to run the ball with Breece Hall and a little bit with Dalvin Cook. I know that they're going to smash you in the mouth and they're going to try to knock your teeth out. I trust what I get from Robert Saleh and that Jets team. I can't do that with anyone else in the AFC East because I've seen Miami blow the doors off of bad teams and then get their fucking tail whipped against the only 2 good teams they played this year. I've seen Buffalo struggle against the Giants, but then blow the shit out of the Miami Dolphins. I've seen New England lay the biggest eggs possible with 9 turnovers in a game, and then they come out and they beat Buffalo this week. I don't know what to expect from these other 3 teams. I know what I'm getting with the New York Jets. Take it or leave it. Are they the best team in the AFC East? No. But I know what I'm getting with them every single week.
I agree. It's painful. This is a painful division. The Dolphins are like that team. Hey, what's up, senior? The Dolphins are like that team that's like they play well and have a lot of fun when it's fun.
Yeah.
And as soon as it's not fun anymore, it's like,
not fun.
Yeah, fuck this. I could be doing better shit with my Sunday. And the Bills just seem confused. They seem confused with their opponents. They seem confused with each other. we've got a lot of time to get it together, but I agree. I mean, you do know what you're going to get from the Jets.
Yeah.
I think after the first 3 weeks now we know what we're going to get every week. And fuck, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is out there trying like witch doctor shit. I mean, who the fuck knows? He's going to come in with a shaman next week. The Achilles is going to be fine. And hell, might be back week 9.
Little ayahuasca, and he's playing in week 9.
Shit, man.
All right. On to another huge disappointment. Listen, I waffled last week about this game because there's one team that I can rely on beating the Washington Commanders, and it's the New York Giants. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we struggle so much with the Giants. We always struggle with the Giants. This is a team that took Philly to overtime 2 weeks ago and plays Philly this coming week. They might go and beat them, but they can't do shit against the Giants. They make Darren Waller look like a Hall of Famer. Tyrod Taylor had another fucking big day. We are the slump buster of the NFL, and it's fucking embarrassing on a weekly basis. I don't know what's left in terms of just Ron gets asked these questions in postgame about like specifics that go on the field. And he's like over here in space, like, oh yeah, we play consistently. We do this, we do that. Like, no, you fucking don't. You're not consistent other than being consistently fucking bad. You refuse to put any blame on your coordinators, but I'm watching the Giants convert 3rd and 16 routinely against this fucking team. That's a problem. We refuse to run the ball on offense. Eric Bieniemy, I get it. I get it now, and I apologize to every NFL owner out there for ever insinuating that Eric Bieniemy wasn't getting a job because of his skin color. He didn't get a head coaching job because he's fucking incompetent. And Andy Reid covered up all of his pockmarks. This was an absolutely embarrassing performance. The Giants' offensive line was starting 3 stick figures, a Scarecrow, and Justin Pugh, who was tending bar 2 weeks ago at his local bar at home because it's a hobby for him. Like, what the fuck are we doing? We couldn't do shit against an awful Giants team. I just don't get it. Ron's got to fucking go, man.
Yo, EB is like that fucking great value box pasta.
Yeah.
But somebody's Italian nana made the fucking sauce, dude.
Yeah.
That's Andy Reid. That's the fucking cover up. Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I feel for you. Like that shit is gross to watch. The Giants, however, and again, we just shit on the Bills a second ago, but the Giants just had the Bills on the ropes and probably should have had an extra play 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Pretty blatant pass interference, I thought, on that final play.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Giants are one of those weird teams. I picked them as wild card. You and Raul were like, fuck that shit. We talked about the point discrepancy last season en route to winning 10 games. I do still think there's some bright spots for New York. Like, as bad as they look sometimes, I think they have enough talent on the roster to beat you. I didn't think it was going to be with fucking Tyrod, whatever he wants to be called.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's bad. It's fucking embarrassing.
Well, talk about embarrassing.
Yeah. I'm gonna get out of the way on this one. I picked Baltimore. I said it was a gut feeling last week. Baltimore's this weird team. They'll lay an egg 1 week and then they go home and they play better. They're so Jekyll and Hyde. It was simply a gut feeling. I didn't expect it to be right necessarily. Gut feeling. I didn't see it going this way, man. Talk to me. I know you watched.
Well, I mean, you picked Baltimore in probably what you felt was like a 20-17 or a 20-20 game. I mean, You didn't think it was 38-6. I don't think anybody believes that Baltimore is 32 points better than Detroit.
No.
However, this is what I've been cautious with all season. This is where I've been with the Lions' success ending last year, over the summer, coming into this season. This is why I want to be cautiously optimistic, because rightfully so, this team is they're probably still a year away. They've got a lot of young talent. It's not just the rookie class. It's not just the first year guys. It's the second year guys. And the third year guys. They're kind of banged up. However, the excuse train stops there, because I bitch, man. And I don't even want to get into the point that I thought, Lamar Jackson got to sit there for about 10 seconds of drop back the first couple of drives. For whatever reason that was, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for what Detroit did. Offensively, terrible, awful. Nothing was good. No adjustments were made to make it better. I feel like Dan and company went into this game a little bit like, fuck it. Bulletproof vests, let's go. Let's ride. We've had injuries all year. Fuck it. Superman shit. And, you got punched in the fucking mouth. You got punched in the mouth. Luckily for you, on a week that was really fucking weird, so you're going to get away with a little bit of that. Despite the 38-6 blowout, you're still going to kind of fall into the cracks just a bit,
Yeah.
a bit more than you should.
Yeah.
And, luckily for you, you come back on the extended week Monday night against the Raiders, and you probably win that game. However, there are things here, and I've said it. I've been cautious all year. I've been excited all year, but I've been cautious. Like when like Stephen A. Smith was going nuts last week. The Lions are the best team in the NFL, and I'm like, yo, bro, they played the best team they have played besides the Chiefs in week 1, which really doesn't count because it's week 1.
Healthy, and it was week
1. The Bucs were the best team they've played when it counted. They played Atlanta, maybe Seattle, but they lost that game. So, they played Atlanta. They played Green Bay. Like, some of this shit doesn't really matter. So, this is a gut punch for me. I had to turn it off early in the third quarter. I couldn't. There was just no fucking reason. I actually got into a little argument with Dan Campbell's niece. Didn't know it was his niece. But I stand by what I say. Like, I've been in an abusive relationship with the Lions for 30 fucking years, and I know when it's time to turn off the game. And that doesn't mean I'm off the bandwagon. That doesn't mean I'm not a fan. I have, taken more punches from them than Rihanna did from Chris Brown. I know when it's time, and it was time in that game. So shout out to everybody who started Jahmyr Gibbs this week. He had an all right week for you guys in fantasy. Amon-Ra keeps tearing it up, but Jesus fucking Christ. And I don't want the Ravens fans to get too crazy because I don't think this is anything to like. I think they're a good team, but like your first 4 drives, you scored.
Yeah.
That's probably not gonna happen against the Panthers. So yeah, I mean, soak it up. Good game. Yeah. Good game by them. Great game plan. Terrible by Detroit. Dan, you gotta tighten it up, kid.
Yeah, these young teams, you mentioned it, how young they are. Sometimes you can start to smell yourself a little bit. And maybe that's what it was this week. Took it on the chin. We'll see. My dad says when it's over, it's over. Yeah, for sure. There's a time to call it for sure. But
I like my iPad. I didn't want to throw it.
Yeah, I expect Dan to rally the troops, and we're gonna see a rebound this week against a ripe Raiders team for a good rebound. Right? That's not a very good team right now. So Detroit. This is the week you want to get right. Identify some of those issues you had against Baltimore, and let's rally the troops.
But this is going to happen again. This can happen again. Like this is a thing. This happened last year too. People don't remember. People want to ignore that the Lions were on a huge streak after Thanksgiving. They lost to Buffalo, which was a close one. They did this against Carolina last year. They got killed. They gave like 450 yards on the ground. So like this they're still susceptible to that.
Yep. Young team. All right. Over to maybe the most embarrassing game of the week. Chicago, Vegas, Tyson Bagent, who played for the 0-11 Shepherd University. I forget their Colonels, I think was their mascot. He did, in his defense, set the NCAA record for touchdowns with 158, I think it was, during his career at Division II Shepherd University, but it was clear none of that translated to winning. His last college game, he threw 3 interceptions against the Colorado School of Mines. Yet, he starts a game in the NFL against the Las Vegas Raiders, and he wins, and he played really well. Deontay Foreman was kind of the star of the show here. He had 3 touchdowns, but Vegas is bad. Josh McDaniels is bad. this is going nowhere but south. And I've heard the rumors that Al Davis or Mark Davis can't fire Josh McDaniels because he can't afford to pay him and hire a new coach because coaches' contracts are 100% guaranteed. This is just going to continue to get uglier and uglier if that's true, and they've got to ride this contract out. It's going to be really bad.
My guy said he played for the school for the blind. Now, there probably is a little merit to planning because you probably still plan for Justin Fields, even given the circumstance, and then it doesn't happen. And now you get a new guy that you've never seen before, and we know about the rookie fucking film, the non-QB film, that kind of thing. But, yeah, no excuse. No excuse to lose to the Bears probably ever.
Yeah.
And, now you're probably in a weird situation where you're anticipating going against the Lions, who have been really good, but now they just got their fucking heads knocked off. So, weird. Yeah. Gonna be weird all around.
Yeah, for sure. We took the L here, but this was a coin flip game.
Yeah.
Looks like all three of our coins came up wrong. Weird quirk from the weekend though with the Falcons. Bijan Robinson went into the game with no injury designation and got on the field but never really touched the ball. And now the NFL is actually asking questions of the Falcons in terms of like, if he was injured, when did you know he was injured? Because the NFL has a rule. It's the public reasoning for it is because they want to know what players are injured. It's health and safety, yada yada, right? The real reason is because Vegas wants to know. Let's not fool ourselves into believing what the NFL is saying. Vegas wants to know. So, what do you think? Like, what could come of? Like, do you think the NFL follows through on this with Bijan Robinson and the Falcons?
Do you think the Falcons care? That's a bigger question, honestly. Like, at this point in their season, does it matter?
No.
So I don't know what the NFL would do in this particular situation. Do they fine them?
I think it's a fine, yeah.
Do they care? What's it, 10?
Yeah.
15?
Arthur Blank will find that underneath the shelves at a Home Depot.
I don't know why they did this, what the reason is. That's going to be interesting because that's eventually going to come out. Like, was it something last? Were they trying to throw somebody off with a bad team? Are you like trying to eke out a win against the Bucs? Maybe I don't know. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if my thing is I don't know if there is a punishment for this within reason that's going to be enough to make a fucking difference. It's like one of those like where they're like, oh, the guy wore the wrong socks, we're going to fine him, and the fine's like fucking $5,000. That guy doesn't give a shit.
No.
So
he got paid that much to wear them.
Right? Who cares? So I don't know if there's going to be anything that they can do that's going to make a fucking difference. It will be interesting to hear, what happened and why they did it. I'm just starting to think it was just like a fuck the Bucs thing.
Maybe. So weird. Patterson had a good day though.
Yeah. Well, he should. He's still a good player.
Still the worst roster in football though. Somehow they're in first place. Oh yeah. All right. Onward and upward. This game resulted in the firing of an NFL player. Brett Maher has been released from the Rams after missing 3 kicks in this game, in a game that ended up a 7-point difference. The Rams are an enigma. The Steelers are a little bit of an enigma, but I think we can trust that enigma more because of Mike Tomlin and what he's been able to do in terms of just kind of righting the ship as the season goes every year. The Rams, it feels like they go into a game with no game plan. And they're just like, pew, pew, shooting from the hip as they go throughout the game. Because, like, you start the game and Cooper Kupp's right down the field and they run the ball with Darrell Henderson. And then suddenly, like, Puka Nacua gets 100 catches in a row. And then the offense just goes in the tank. And they can't do shit the rest of the game. I don't know what to expect. I mentioned the whole thing, trusting the Jets and whatnot. I don't know what to expect with the Rams. They seem like a bad team, but then they seem like a good team. I don't know what to make of them. The Steelers, last year, this happened. Najee Harris, after the bye week last year, got right. He's been terrible this year. Had a touchdown in a pretty good game this weekend. If we see that continue with him, maybe the Steelers are just getting right. But the Rams feel like such a weird team.
Yeah, they did prove they proved one thing though. Like they're this is like the epitome of running back bullshit to people.
Yeah.
They can bring a couple of guys off a couch, like Henderson, who they had before, Royce Freeman, who's been a guy that's got a lot of touches in the NFL. They can bring these guys and be like, you're going to get like 12, 13 carries apiece. We're going to run for a pretty good amount of yards. I mean, they were well over 100 yards. And it just works. The Mauer thing, to me, I think it's a mistake. Because now they're going to have some jack off that used to kick for the Colts, kicking for them that nobody fucking knows of. And we've seen it. Like, getting a kicker thing is a problem. So, I mean, let's see where we're at here. As far as, like, not knowing what the Rams are, I agree with you. I said it week 1. Like, I think a lot of people thought they might win 5 games. They've already won 3. Strange team. Puka Nacua. Who saw it coming? Nobody. They're an odd team who can really beat you up offensively sometimes, and they can come through on defense sometimes, but it might not always be good enough. And we're gonna see a lot more of that. It's gonna be back and forth all year. I think this team wins 8 games. I do.
Yeah. I can see that. All right, onward. I took the L here on the island with Arizona. I just don't trust Seattle, and maybe I'm wrong for that. But I trusted the wrong team.
I don't trust them either.
I trusted the wrong team to beat them, but they still didn't look very good against Arizona, despite winning 20-10. Anything to take away from this game other than it's obvious we both don't really trust Seattle?
No, I agree with you. I don't trust Seattle either.
I think they're a team that they can be scary at times, but they also can be really, really bad at times. So, just don't trust them. Green Bay, Denver, speaking of teams you can't trust, the cruelest trick the devil ever pulled, the devil being Jordan Love, was convincing us in weeks 1, 2, and 3 that he was a good quarterback. He's been awful the last, 4 games for them? Or 3 games, sorry. They had
3,
5. He's been awful the last 3 games. And this is a bad Denver defense coming in. They were 31st in the NFL against the pass, 31st in total defense. And they laid an egg against this Denver team. Any real takeaway from this other than basking in the failure of the Green Bay?
No, it's not that. I mean, to be fair to Jordan Love, he hasn't done anything wrong here. He's just, we got tricked into believing early on that Jordan Love was going to be fine.
Yep.
And he's not that good. Green Bay knew he wasn't that good.
Yep.
People who watched him play knew he wasn't that good. And then he had a couple of good games, and we were like, oh, fuck, maybe they got it right again. And they didn't. He's an athlete. He's still they're going to win some games. It's a bad situation. Also, it's really worth noting that, of course, they lost the first time I picked them this year.
Yeah. Won't do that again, will you?
Typical Green Bay saying "fuck you" to Andy Flint, right?
Yeah. We'll make that mistake again.
Makes sense.
Oh man. Ho hum. Kansas City won another game. Ho hum. Kansas City beat the Chargers again. I think the big takeaway from this is the league better watch out because Kansas City's defense is the real deal this year.
Yeah.
They can get after the quarterback, and they've got some guys on the back end that can really lock down receivers. Herbert was under fire all day. He had more passes tipped in this game than I've ever seen him have. And it wasn't just Chris Jones, that monster they have on the middle or on the inside. There were a handful of guys that were just batting the passes. This Chiefs defense is the real deal, and that might be the scariest thing I've ever said about an NFL team.
Yeah, I trust the U.S. president's press conference more than I trust Justin Herbert and the fucking Chargers offense. I really do. Like, this team, Herbert, for the record, has this stat now where he's lost like more fucking games than any starter over any starter in the same time frame as him over his first 4 years or whatever. So that's insane for a guy that we pretty much, without saying so, the general public says is elite, right? Like there's like Mahomes, there's Allen, there's Burrow.
He's always in that conversation.
Maybe we're talking Lamar Jackson, but they're not very far after those guys. We're talking Justin Herbert. And I mean, early on in their careers, people were putting Herbert over Burrow pretty liberally.
Yeah.
So now we're, and it's not all of his fault. Staley is a huge problem, but like there's a reason Herbert was under the radar a little bit, right? Herbert is good, but I don't know if Herbert's great. I don't know if anything about that team is great. I mean, we keep seeing there's weird stats of that team, right? There was the whole like Eckler's been out. That's arguably their best player. That hurts. They lose Mike Williams, their second best wide receiver. That hurts. They have Staley, who's a big hindrance. That hurts. Khalil Mack gets 6 sacks in one game, so that inflates the fuck out of an entire defensive performance.
Then he goes back on a milk carton.
Right, and he was on the milk carton before that. Now we're just left with this team that's like wanting, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if there is a fix. It's just weird. It's a weird situation.
A lot of people thought Kellen Moore was going to be the fix for the offense. It appears that I don't know if it's just Kellen Moore isn't as good as people think he is, or there's more issues on this offense than people want to admit. Herbert's under fire a lot. Offensive line, despite all the capital they've invested in it, wasn't good this weekend, and it hasn't been good in quite a few games for this Chargers team. And we'll get the spectacular highlight throw from Herbert on a weekly basis, right? He'll have one where he just hits a piss rod for 45 yards to Keenan Allen. But then you get late in the game, and he just seems like he can't find an open receiver to complete a pass to. So it's weird.
I mean, the guy's absolutely talented. I mean, there's no doubt that he's an above average quarterback, right? I don't know.
Anointed long before than you probably should have.
We were so quick to be like he's top 5.
Yep. All right. Onward to Miami, Philly. We were all on Miami. Philly was able to slow them down. They beat them up. Miami, you mentioned it earlier, right? Like when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. Real bad. And we ran into that early on in the game. They had hit a couple of plays. Mostert was gashing a little bit. Then Philly made an adjustment, and Miami couldn't make the counter adjustment in game. Couldn't get Hill loose when they needed to. Couldn't get the running game going when they needed to. A lot of 3 and outs. A lot more work for the punter than I think we're used to in Miami. And Philly just found a play here and there, and it always seemed like they ended up in a 3rd and 1 and tush push and you set it down, yada yada. Philly was methodical in this game against the track team of Miami, and Miami looked very mediocre in this game.
The track team, you said it. I just, this team lacks depth, and I'm not talking depth like as far as their depth at position goes. I just think like if I said this person lacks depth, I apply that to this team. Like there's no layers. I don't. What you see on the surface is what this team is, right? They sparkle, right? They have a little shine to them. They're fast. They're fun. Like that's them. But that's it. Like if you dig past the surface, there's nothing else there. I'm starting to believe that more and more every week. You, Gary, called out last week that you were surprised that none of us took Philly. And I think I was a little surprised too because it's Philly. And we had been talking, about how they're not the boogeyman. They looked better. Philly looked a little better while Miami looked a little worse. I think it was 2 things working at the same time. So, there's that. However, the one big thing I want to push on here, and I fucking said it on social media, that fucking brotherly shove thing, those motherfuckers are lined up illegal every goddamn time. And I had people coming at me from all directions about it. it's the neutral zone.
Yep.
You cannot be in the neutral zone as an offensive or a defensive player. We never see it called against the offense, but it still exists.
Yep.
And for a lot of people don't understand what it is. It almost just think of it as the football.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
it's the football. It's like 11 inches.
Yep.
And so basically on your side, it's like 6 inches.
Yep.
And you can't be in there, and they fucking are every single time.
Yeah.
It's just like Kelsey got called for a hand in the neutral zone that wasn't his hand.
Yeah.
But it was still he was bitching about it, but it was still a hand. The hand was still there.
Yeah.
Your team was still in the neutral zone. So I saw people. I had a guy on my Facebook I don't even know, and I don't even know where he came from, and he was like, "Show your work," and I don't need to show my work. Like it's there. Just go watch it. The neutral zone. That's what it is. Also, it's ugly. Nobody wants to see it.
Yeah.
But
so listen, I've pointed this out before too. It's not just the neutral zone, man. It's the neutral zone. They're constantly lined up in the neutral zone. They false start every single time they run that play. Both guards are jumping before the ball is snapped. And there are people behind Jalen Hurts actually picking him up, which is 100% illegal. That's a 15-yard penalty. That's not a minor penalty. That is an unsportsmanlike penalty, 15 yards for picking up a player and carrying him down the field. They are doing it every single fucking time. Dallas Goedert gets behind Jalen Hurts. Both hands or one hand every single time they run it are under his pads, picking him up. Jalen Hurts is floating on top of bodies, man. It's absurd. Just police your game, and this play will go away. They will not be 98% successful if they can't do all three of those things every time they run it. It's fucking ridiculous that we even have to have this conversation.
Well, the picking up part's actually interesting too, because that could really easily I think that might be the toughest of the three phases we talked about: the neutral zone, the starting early, and that might be the hardest part to police because there's a lot of guys there. But back in the early 2000s, you couldn't even shove the pile like that.
Nope.
So let's just go back to that. There's no need to shove the pile.
The thing is, Philly is
if you shove a player in reverse like that in a pile, they
progress.
Yeah, they call it dead. So why are we letting it go the other way? It's because it's offense.
It's offense. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and the reason they introduced that is because in the open field, you could be engaged in a block and potentially push the pile farther and whatnot. They changed the rule for that because it was hard to police. Philly found a loophole. They are doing illegal shit, man. Just regulate your game, though.
We can differentiate that. There's so much going on in one play, and like I genuinely feel sorry for the people. Like if you're a Philly fan and you're okay with it, I would be too. I really would. However, like if you're a general fan and you're trying to challenge, like, oh, what's your fucking problem with it? Like, dude, just fucking go huff a can of spray paint somewhere alone and don't we know it's wrong. We see with our eyes.
Right.
There's a reason, like every team in the league can run this play the way they run it. Maybe not with the success because Hurts is, a tough dude and we get that and they have a really good line. But every team with a good line and a decent sized quarterback can run this play. They're just afraid of getting fucking flagged up and down the field. Yep. So let's ban the tush push, the brotherly shove. It's not cool. It doesn't look cool. Fuck.
Bad for the game. It's ugly. Oh, all right. And to finish the week off, San Francisco dropped the second one in a row. Kirk Cousins has a good game. Jordan Addison, how about a breakout game on national TV? Kirk Cousins wins a primetime game. Go fucking figure.
Go figure.
Yeah, go fucking figure.
You're Gary's boy.
Yeah, and I was on the other
side. So while you're fucking dying of TB, the wife asks me going into last night because she's playing Cousins and Addison. She says, "Can Cousins Kirk?" She says, "I gotta say this right. Can K Cousins and Jay Addison combined for 70 points?" And I said, "Nah, you're straight." I mean, and then I was like, well, they can. They're not gonna, but they can. So 55. Or no, 57. She won by 13.
Yeah.
So 57.
Got a little sweaty late.
Dude, let me fucking tell you on tight end week. This kid. He's out of control. So on tight end week, I needed 2 more points from Kittle or Hawkinson. I had them both. I just needed 2. And Purdy's punk ass throws a fucking pick late in the game. I'm beside myself on tight end week. 2 tight. I was like, tight end week. I'm starting 2 tight ends. No, that's not why I did it. I did it because I had a bunch of injuries and fucking bye weeks.
Tight end went crazy.
Dude, listen, both tight ends played pretty well. Kittle played well. Hawkinson played well. Rest of my team sucks. Yeah. I dropped Kareem Hunt that morning because I had to do some. It didn't look like he was going to play.
I know.
So I picked up fucking Royce Freeman. That was sweet. I should have picked up Henderson. And I would have won. And the difference for me was Stafford or Jared Goff. I was like, I shouldn't play Goff because it's the Ravens. But, like, he's been better than Stafford every week. And Stafford wasn't great. He had, like, 16 points. But Goff had 8. I lost by 2. Sweet. I'm a good fantasy manager. But on to the game. Now that I bitch for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, Colin Cowherd is all over the trade Cousins. They want to cash in, get draft picks, whatever.
I agree.
Yeah. His value in the trade is higher, but he has said he won't waive his no trade clause. So.
He did say that. They should test it though.
Sure.
Nobody likes Minnesota that much, right? Except Prince.
Well, he's a free agent after this year.
I get that, but
we'll see.
So if you scenario.
It was just you, Corey. He was diamond dudes up against a good defense.
So the scenario would be like, I don't want to say the Jets because I could see why he doesn't want to do that because they have Aaron Rodgers. But if somebody else, what if like another lucrative team? I didn't have notes prepared for this. But what if another decent up-and-coming team who maybe isn't going to win right now, that's why they can trade, but maybe they can compete next year or the year after. Says, hey, we want to do this Cousins thing. Do you think, like you being the Kirk Cousins aficionado, I joke, I
kind of am.
Like, does he? I mean, you don't think? No, nothing. There's nothing.
I'll give it to you in 2 forms.
Like, what if it's San Fran?
What's that?
What if it's San Fran? No. You think
that might be the exception. I'll give you that. There may be a situation potentially, right? But in general, I say no because Kirk bet on himself in Washington and won. And he is very, very family oriented. I don't think he wants to uproot his family midseason. I think that's the big reason why he's going to say no. And I think going into a free agency year, he's going to have an opportunity to get with his wife and his family and figure out where they want to be with their next move. He's 35. I think he is 35, 34. I've had a slight inkling that he might retire, man.
35.
He might retire. He's been
Kirk Cousins 35 already.
Yeah. I mean, he was in Washington for fucking 7 years. Franchise tag.
I just
remember he's been in Minnesota now and he was old when he came out too. He was a 4-year guy at Michigan State. So, but I look at it as I don't think he's going to waive his no trade clause. I think he's going to finish the year with Minnesota. I also think he's very family oriented. Won't want to uproot his family during the season. I don't lock out the possibility that he retires after this year, to be honest. He's made a lot of money. He's been beat up. His body's beat up. If anybody watched that Netflix documentary Quarterback, the shit he had to go through just to get ready to play, He's been through a lot, man. He's a tough guy. And when you're a tough guy, you get beat up.
So shot out of a cannon, though. It's San Fran. Like that's it. Like San Fran wants to trade for Cousins. The Vikings want to do it. The only thing that stands in the way right now.
I think that's the only situation that I think yes.
Yeah, he definitely says yes, right? He has to.
Yeah.
Because that's a realistic Super Bowl run.
With a system he already knows too, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. It's a system they run in Minnesota too, because O'Connell came from the Shanahan tree.
Fuck, that system could be 8-ball pool. And if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm going.
That's fair. Yeah, no, San Francisco, if you told me that was a possibility, I don't see San Francisco as a possibility because
it's not going to be. They're going to believe in Brock Purdy until it doesn't work, and that's what's going to happen.
Boy, has he looked mediocre the last 2 weeks.
Yes, they figured him out.
Yeah, sure.
Go figure. A quarterback drafted where he was drafted got figured out.
Yeah, number 255 got figured out.
Levels to this shit.
Oh, man. All right, let's jump into the most important part of the episode between weeks here. We call it our Folds of Honor Salute to Service. All right, this week's episode goes out to Sergeant Major James G. Sarter. He died July 13th, 2019, serving during Operation Freedom Sentinel. At the time of his passing, he was 40 and hailed from Teague, Texas. He died in Faryab Province, Afghanistan, as a result of injuries sustained from enemy small arms fire during combat operations. He was part of the 2nd Battalion 10th Special Forces Group out of Fort Carson, Colorado. Sergeant Major Sarter, we have to watch. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk week 8. Upcoming week, we've got some pretty intriguing matchups. We've also got a lot of teams looking to rebound from a pretty tough week last week. Right out the gates, we've got Buffalo, we've got Tampa Bay. At home, Thursday night, Buffalo really needs to rebound here in this game. We're all on the Buffalo train. How much trust do you have that Buffalo's going to bounce back and get this done?
Yeah, they have to. They've kind of been this team before too, right? Like they lose one they shouldn't have. They come back, let us know, like, hey, we're still a good team. My distrust in Buffalo stems from down the stretch. Like, do I trust you late in the season? Do I trust you in the playoffs? And I just I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder, I was talking to some Bills fans this weekend, and one of them brought up a point that really stuck with me. It feels like they tried to rein Josh in from all the running and all the playmaking he was doing, because everybody kept saying, like, oh, he's going to get hurt, blah, 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 blah. He's standing in the pocket now and taking a lot of punishment behind a okay offensive line, but it's not his style of play, and he's getting beat up. So I almost think, like, maybe it's time to take the reins off and get back to just Josh being Josh. I don't know. It's very weird there in Buffalo right now. They've got to figure it out.
I was one of those people who was like, Josh has taken unnecessary punishment outside. For Josh Allen, for me personally, he either has to learn how to play outside the pocket and be safe, because he knows how to play outside the pocket. Now, that's where he makes his bones.
Yep.
Be safe. Or he has to embrace this new role in the pocket
and figure out how to
be smart, because that's what's happening right now. He's just not. He doesn't know how to do it. We'll see, man. I do like Josh Allen. I think there's a lot of hope. He's a very good player. Yeah, get it going, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Houston, Carolina. I'm on the island here. These are two evenly matched teams. When I saw you guys made these picks and I was putting the overlay together, I figured this was a home team pick, maybe. They're pretty even teams. I trust Houston a little more because I think they've got the quarterback position figured out, and I like the way they're playing defense. But flip a coin, I guess, in Houston.
Yeah,
Carolina.
I definitely flipped the coin.
Yeah, take the home team or whatever.
I did.
Cool.
Vegas field goal.
Yeah, for sure. Dallas and the Rams. If Raul was here, he'd call me an asshole. I went with the Rams here. I'm on the island. I don't trust Dallas. I don't trust them. They're up, they're down, they're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. And I think that this Rams defensive front with Aaron Donald is going to be able to disrupt a lot of what the Cowboys want to do offensively. And maybe I'm giving McVay too much credit because he's been a weird decision maker this year. But I think that the Rams are going to be able to run the ball at Micah Parsons and make him pay the way other teams have. And I just think the Rams are going to eke one out here in Jerry World. Tell me I'm wrong.
Hey, I think you're wrong. I think this is another one of those games where like I was back and forth. So usually when I go through the picks, I circle. I leave the ones I'm unsure of till the end. This was one of those that I left uncircled for a while. I don't know, man. I don't know if I trust Dallas. I feel like I should trust Dallas, but whenever I do, it's like
they let you down.
Yeah, they play the 49ers. So,
yeah,
I think they fully well should win this game. We talked earlier. We don't know what the Rams are. We don't know if they're good.
Yeah.
Dallas at home. You got to win this game, right? I mean, you have to.
Yeah, this is one they have to win.
If you don't win this game, then there's a big
doubt starts creeping. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can circle back to the Bills. I mean, is there enough season left? Yeah, absolutely. Right. We're not fully halfway. The big thing for me is I still think they're a playoff team. I don't think the AFC is good enough that they're gonna fall so far behind they can't get in the playoffs. It's just a matter of whether or not he can figure it out and succeed in the playoffs. I think for me, it's really going to come down to whether or not he starts making those plays in the pocket, or if he gets back to making plays outside the pocket and just protects himself a little more, maybe.
In Senior, I'll do you one better. I still think they win the division. I may have lost a little of my believe capabilities, due to what they've done. I still think they win that division. What I have to see from Buffalo is the postseason success. I have to see him beat the Chiefs. I have to see him beat the Bengals. Maybe the Ravens. Some of these teams. I picked them to win the division. I'm going to stand with that. Even though they're not there yet, I do think that I believe in them more than Miami.
Yep. No, I can't disagree with you on that logic. Miami still has the tougher part of their schedule down the stretch. What are you looking at over there? What's going on in the game?
Aaron Gordon just was like nose level with the rim.
He just yammed on someone?
Yeah.
He still got it.
Christ, that kid has bunnies.
Good Lord.
Good game, though. 67-75 Nuggets.
Nugs are up?
Yeah, by just a few, by 8.
Yeah, nice. All right. Onward and upward. Let's see, where were we? That was Rams Cowboys. So we're on to Minnesota Green Bay. You're on Green Bay again, man. Talk to me, because we're both on Minnesota. Is this another home team?
I don't know what I'm doing, man. Like I don't know. Now that I saw we picked early. Now that I saw the game last night, like I'm like shit. I just the Jefferson thing weighs on me. The being on the road, the being unsure about Minnesota, because I'm unsure about Green Bay too. I had to pick one. I went with the home team. It's going to bite me twice because Minnesota's going to end up winning this game. Jordan Addison looks great, by the way.
He does.
Ridiculous. Like, I thought people –
that ball he took
look
away
good.
from what's-his-face and ran to the house from Javarius Ward. Holy shit. That was sick.
It just looks good. Hawkinson had like 11 or 12 catches.
Yep.
This team, you know, they can beat you up. And when you're as fucking bipolar as Green Bay, you know, I thought Green Bay's defense was going to be better.
I did too.
I really did. And it's just not.
Yep.
Which is great. I love it. But fuck it.
Look, I'm looking at the NFC standings, right? And I see right now, I see 5 teams, 4 division leaders, and 1 team in the Cowboys that I do believe is a wild card team for sure. I see a couple of spots, 2 wild card spots open right now. The Vikings are right now tied for that last wild card spot at 3 and 4. The NFC is not great. If Minnesota gets this game after getting a game against San Francisco, look out NFC, not necessarily like, oh, they're going to the Super Bowl, but like this might be the first team to go 0-3 and go to the playoffs, right? I mean, they actually maybe second team, I think, because the Cowboys might have done it when Emmett was holding out. But this could be a team that was basically in the grave and makes a comeback and potentially gets a fucking wild card spot.
They can beat you. They have enough offense to beat you.
Yes, they do. That defense was playing really good last night, too. Getting after Purdy, getting a lot of pressure. Danielle Hunter, quietly, tied for the league lead in sacks with TJ Watt. Crazy. Nobody probably knows who he is because his name's spelled like Danielle.
Parents' fault.
Yeah, maybe. But they just beat the Niners. I feel like you got to feel pretty good after coming off a win against the Niners. If you do struggle against the Packers and maybe the season starts to unravel, you start to look at that. But
I really try not to plan it. Like if Colin Cowherd told me it was raining outside, I wouldn't bring my umbrella.
You're not a fan of Colin?
No, dude, he's terrible. Listen, Colin Cowherd is there's been a couple times in recent memory where he said some shit and I'm like, okay. Other than that, like he's another shock jock guy. Like he's Stephen A. He's not as loud as Stephen A.
Yeah.
He's very well spoken.
Yeah.
He has a really good cadence to what he does, but he is wrong all the fucking time.
I'll tell you what, there's one thing that I do like about Colin is he finds a hot take and then he does a lot of research to put a lot of shit behind that hot take. And by the end of the hot take, you're like, Jesus Christ, that kind of makes sense. And then, like you said, maybe it's super wrong. And you're like, oh, fuck, he got me again.
No, he's convincing. He's very convincing. Don't get me wrong. He's very well spoken. I think he's probably one of the easier guys to listen to. He's always wrong though. Like he is constantly wrong.
Yeah, when you're searching for hot takes, it's easy to be wrong.
Oh, dude, he's got to have like a 12%.
Oh man,
win rate. Like it's bad. But he's not yelling at anyone. Gary's got this is old fashioned. Doc Holliday had the same thing.
Goddamn longer.
So he longer. Colin Cowherd, like so what he does that's really good is he's very well spoken. And I think he's a smart dude. Like I don't think he's an idiot. And then B, he's not bitching at anyone else because he's not going up against another person. So like he's just got his show, he's got his takes, and it's kind of like, believe me or not, listen to me or don't. This is what I'm saying. And then when I'm wrong, I'm going to come back next week and I'm going to explain something else to you. And it's almost flawless. Like he's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
But like his lose percentage is as high as anyone else. It really is.
All right. Onward, upward. Probably the most forgettable game of the weekend. New Orleans versus Indianapolis. You're on Indianapolis. Home team?
I don't know why. I forgot.
Yeah. I mean, not a great matchup.
Maybe because I don't know. I have no idea. I just picked them.
flip the coin, came up New Orleans for me.
Yeah, basically.
I don't trust either of these teams any farther than I can throw them.
No, they don't trust themselves.
New England, Miami. Any chance New England backs up an upset of Buffalo with an upset of Miami?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I hope it happens.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
Buffalo or New England just doesn't have anything in the secondary. Like everybody's hurt. They had a good secondary to start the season. They've had like 5 guys go down in that secondary. So, yeah, I don't know. They got J.C. Jackson back from the Chargers. I don't know that that's a win, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Jets, Giants. Nobody's got to travel in this one. Playing at MetLife. It's just a matter of which locker room you get into. We're all in the Jets.
How did this become a thing?
Yeah. I trust them. I know what I'm getting from
Right.
them.
You said it at the top of the show.
I don't know what I'm getting from the Giants.
Why did I pick the Giants?
I don't know.
The Jets.
I'm wondering.
I don't know either. They've just I do know. They've shown me over the past couple of weeks. However, the Giants have shown me over the past couple of weeks too, because I feel like 2 weeks ago they were an extra play away from potentially winning. And then last week, they get shit done. So
Yep.
I'm with you, Gary. I'm with what you said. I'm safer with the Jets. Like I feel like at least with the Jets, I know I'll have a blanket. With the Giants, I might have a blanket and a pillow, but I don't know if I'm going to have either.
Yeah. Yep. Jacksonville against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh coming off an upset of the Rams, and Jacksonville coming off a road upset that shouldn't have been an upset against New Orleans. I feel like right now Jacksonville's hitting on all cylinders. I still don't know that I can trust the Pittsburgh offense. It feels like they get fits and spurts from this offense, and the defense does what it does. They can rush the passer, but as you mentioned, they can get beat up at times where it gets run down their throat or they get sloppy in the secondary. I just think that Jacksonville is going to be able to run the ball really well against Pittsburgh. ETN, as I mentioned at the top of the show, ETN is hot as fish grease the last 3 weeks. I don't see Pittsburgh slowing him down, and I think that opens up a lot for this offense. Despite Calvin Ridley struggling over the last couple of weeks, Jacksonville's been scoring a lot of points on offense. Any dissenting thought here in terms of did you waffle at all on Pittsburgh?
No, but isn't George Pickens becoming a pretty exciting wide receiver?
Yeah, he's fun to watch, man.
I like the kid.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. If Pickett could ever be consistent,
oh man,
might have something. There. All right, Atlanta, Tennessee, another one of those kind of ho-hum games of the weekend. It is a first-place Atlanta team, but playing Tennessee. Raul's on Atlanta. Talk to me about why you're on Tennessee in this one.
I don't know. I don't know. It's another one of those picks where it's like Atlanta, top of their division. If they're in any other division, they might be bottom.
Yep.
Tennessee struggles, but I think Tennessee still has enough household names to beat your ass. Like, it's not without the realm of possibility that Derrick Henry goes for $150 and a touchdown. And I just don't know if Atlanta matches that. What's going on with Bijan? We don't know. The NFL doesn't know.
Yeah.
So
right.
I just that one boiled down to me more as a like fuck you pick than anything. Like I don't know, man. I don't think I picked Tennessee at all this year. This might be the first one.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm with you. I just brand recognition. Like I could see Derrick Henry getting loose a bit. I know they traded away Byard, but to me, Byard is a former All-Pro. He's no longer that dude.
Right.
Will Compton, he probably should go back to his podcast. Go back on the bus, but I don't trust Atlanta. I still think they're the worst roster in football. I don't know how they even fucking win games. I watched three of Atlanta games this year, one against Washington and 2 other games. And I come out of those games. They won 2 out of those 3 games that I watched too. I come out of those games like, how the fuck did they just win that game? It's sort of like last year with the Giants, right? It was just like they look like shit for 56 minutes, and then you look up at the scoreboard and Graham Gano's about to kick a game winner, right? It's the same way with Younghoe Koo. You watch them look like shit. They look like a bad football team for 58 fucking minutes, and then out strolls the only Korean fucking football player in the league, ready to kick another fucking game winner. Like, what the fuck is going on here with this goddamn Atlanta Falcons team? I just don't get it. Don't get it.
I mean, it is worth noting, right, that they played like the Panthers and the Packers, and they played Houston. So, they've played some of these bad teams. However, I do think there's something to say about having talent and then using talent on a weekly basis. You talk about them having the worst roster in the NFL. I agree. But they do have some bright spots too, right?
Yeah.
We saw, what was it last week? Pitts, a man.
Yeah.
So
against Washington.
Yeah. Well, we can, if we see that more often.
Yeah.
I think Ritter's terrible. Like, Desmond Ritter's one of the worst quarterbacks. Like, I think the NFL has to offer right now, and that doesn't just extend to starters.
Right.
There are many backup quarterbacks that are more capable than he is.
They have one on their roster.
they do via Washington.
Yeah.
So, it is Tyler Heineke. Free him.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. Onward to Philly, Washington. I mentioned earlier, like, this is a game that Washington will win, and everybody in the fan base will be like, oh, we beat Philly and kumbaya and whatever, and it'll save Ron's job. I'm not picking them, but this is one of those games that Washington comes out and, like, runs the ball 35 times for 175 yards, controls the clock, sacks Hurts 4 times, and they win this game, and everybody's like, oh, that's the Washington we need to see every week. Yeah, well, you're not going to.
They're not going to run it. I'm just like dead set on the fact that they're not going to run the ball. Every time I pick Robinson, I'm like, oh, this is the week they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, he gets 4 carries for 21 yards, and
he's one of the most misused players in the league.
I say that every week. He's a man. Runs angry behind his man.
There's not like if you take Derrick Henry out of the equation at running back, like there might not be more of a man in the league than Robinson, and they just refuse.
Won't give it to him.
No, they don't want to run the fucking ball.
So dumb.
It's so cute, dude. It's Hello Kitty cute, and it has.
I'll tell you the funniest thing about this offense, right? So Eric Bieniemy will throw the ball. We've thrown the ball on 65% of our first downs this year. 65% of our first downs this year.
Cute. It's cool. That's successful.
Exactly. This past weekend, we threw the ball, and at least a half dozen times, we would get an incompletion on first down, run the ball on 2nd and 10, goes 6 yards, and then we're throwing the ball on 3rd down and 4, right? However, on the drives that on the first downs that we ran the ball, if we gained yards on first down, we would run the ball again on 2nd down. If we gained 0 yards, which is essentially like an incompletion, we never ran the ball on 2nd down after a 0-yard run. It was so weird, predictable, very predictable. No wonder we suck on offense, but it's so weird. I don't understand what Bieniemy's doing. I don't think he has a game plan. I think that's consistent across this coaching staff. And I'll reiterate what I said earlier. Like, I understand now why he doesn't have a head coaching job.
Do you think he was so successful in Kansas City that he's just out here blowing the playbook like whatever I do works?
Maybe.
And like, listen, people are delusional. I speak to delusional people on a daily basis.
he's not the play designer though that Andy Reid is, right? I watch our approach in our route concepts. They're not great. They're not great. They're not Kansas City. I can tell you that right now. Andy Reid designs plays to get a player open, and that player gets open almost every time. We don't have that. He doesn't have that. So maybe he is just blowing the playbook thinking like, I can just throw whatever out here because Andy was always successful. I don't know.
Right.
It's wild. It's wild. Cleveland, Seattle. I'm on Cleveland because I don't trust Seattle. Even if PJ Walker's playing quarterback, I think that defense is going to be able to disrupt Seattle. You're on Seattle. Talk to me. Why?
I don't
Say,
know.
I don't know.
Like,
Say, I don't know.
I don't know. I think they're pretty evenly middle of the road bullshit teams. Like I just it's gonna come back to Nick Chubb to me. I just PJ Walker can't continue to do it, right? Maybe he can. I don't know.
No,
I feel like
I don't think so.
And listen, I'm off. I was off Seattle at the beginning of the year. I told you guys that. I don't think they're as good as they were slated to be. I still don't think they are, but I think they're good enough at home to beat the Browns. Geno hasn't been great. Geno's been
4-2 somehow.
Yeah. Hey, right. They're 4-2, and they should probably be more like 2-4. They really should. Geno was spectacular last year. He's come down to earth. We all expected that. Like I think there's not many people out there that thought Geno Smith was going to repeat last year.
There are a long time to give him a contract. I think even they believed that.
I've had conversations with people who thought he was going to do the same thing. They're few and far between. However, the offense has weapons. The defense has, again, like the Lions, there's some young talent there. So I think they're good enough to win games. Yeah, I just feel it at home.
Yeah, fair enough. Baltimore, Arizona. Is this a week we see Baltimore show the Jekyll side and lose to a bad Arizona team after beating up a good Detroit team?
I'd feel really bad if that happened. I'd feel awful.
I don't see it.
I'd feel worse if that happened than I did last week.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, I'd go into hiding.
Yeah, for sure. Kansas City, Denver.
Jesus.
Any chance?
I didn't give Denver a chance last week. Fuck. I don't know, man. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes is playing like good enough football, right? That's what the Chiefs are doing. Like Kelsey looked really good. The offense is playing good enough football. The defense is looking really stout.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Denver sucks. I think Denver still sucks, man.
Yeah.
They could win like 3 weeks in a row, and I still wouldn't trust them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point you make, right? And we always talk about with Mahomes, like he's not the fastest guy in the league, but he converts first downs all the time. It's always like closest defender +1, right? That's sort of what this offense is this year, but it's the other way to look at it, right? Our defense +1, right? They're doing just enough. They're playing good enough football. If they figure it out and become a 30-point-a-week team at the end of the year, it's going to be really hard to envision another team knocking them off for the Super Bowl. So, Aaron Gordon do it again?
Nah, LeBron just had a pretty sick layup.
Oh, nice.
Gordon blocked it. It was off. It was goaltending though.
Oh,
it was a bang play. I liked it.
Nice. All right, so continuing the full slate of games this week, we've got Cincinnati, we've got San Francisco. Raul's on Cincinnati. I waffled hard on this one because of how San Francisco's looked the last 2 weeks. In San Francisco, right? Like, I don't know. Like, which San Francisco team are we going to get? Is Cincinnati
we picked it before the game, too.
Week?
We picked it before the Monday night game.
We did.
That has to be said.
Do we want to flip-flop live?
I don't want to flip-flop, no.
I don't think I'm going to either. At home, I'm going to give San Fran the benefit of the doubt. It's a weird last 2 weeks, though. It makes me pause a little bit. We talked about Cincinnati, right? Are they hitting their stride? If they go into San Francisco and knock San Francisco off, the NFL's on notice. Cincinnati's in that midseason stride that they're going to rattle off 8 or 9 wins in a row, and we'll see you in January. We spotted you the first 3 weeks, and you didn't disappear on us. But San Francisco at home, they're tough.
Yeah, I just want to note that we picked it before the game last night.
Yeah.
However, I mean, it's still got to be San Fran down the road. Raul picked the Bengals, preseason, so he's got an obligation there.
Yep.
I feel like, but yeah, I mean, shit. At this point, anything's possible. Brock Purdy and company look like shit.
Yeah,
I mean, Debo's hurt.
Mr. Irrelevant looks kind of irrelevant the last 2 weeks.
Right. He looks irrelevant. Debo's hurt. McCaffrey's in and out. I mean, we're gonna see.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Bears, Chargers. I'm gonna put a hypothetical to you. If the Chargers lose this game and Brandon Staley keeps his job, what does he have on Chargers ownership?
I think if they do lose this game, I don't think he does keep his job.
Yeah, it might be the last straw.
Yeah, I think it's got to be it.
At some point it's got to be.
It's it's the Bears. They're not going to lose though. They're going to win.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with a guy like Staley is there's going to keep being excuses built in because he's going to keep losing to teams that we can justify.
Yep.
So the Bears, not justifiable.
Nope.
He goes out and he loses, to the Cardinals. We're not going to justify that. He's going to keep losing games. Even when the scenario is like it's Staley.
Yeah.
We're always going to go back to that playoff game against the Jags. God.
Jesus Christ.
We're always going to go back, right?
Yep.
He's not. And the people evaluating him aren't looking at that either for whatever reason.
It's crazy.
They blocked it out.
Well, let's finish up the week here, bud. Raiders coming off a loss to Tyson Bagent of 0-11 Shepherd University. Who had played his last game against, I'll say it again, the Colorado School of Mines. Against the Detroit Lions coming off an embarrassing loss against
a dick kicking.
They got bullied. Yep, for sure. This has to be a rebound game, right? Bad Raiders team coming to town. You're at home. Monday night.
I mean, you're gonna know a lot about the Lions if it's not, right? I mean, they've. I think they have to win the game. I don't know what the line I think is like 4.
I think that's what it is. Yeah,
4 or 5. I saw it earlier.
Which is a healthy line in the NFL.
Well, I mean, yeah, they've got to listen. They have to come back and win.
Yep.
It's that last week was embarrassing. It doesn't matter. Even if the Ravens are a better team and they were favored by 3, you got to go and play.
Yeah.
This is a team who's supposed to be on the up. They're supposed to be a playoff team.
Yep.
Again, I don't buy into all the shit with like they're the best team in the NFC, this and that. Like that was too far. It always was. Good team, absolutely. Team that can make the playoffs, absolutely. Team that loses to the Raiders, they shouldn't be. So, let's see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. All right, bud. Well, hey, thanks for hanging with me while I'm dying over here. I hope I didn't get you sick through the camera.
No virtual sickness. I appreciate you being on, man. I feel bad for you. You're dying over there.
Yeah, my kid, my oldest, brought something home from school, and even she didn't get it this bad. I don't know what it is, but my body is.
Well, you're old. That's what.
Yeah, that's probably it, man. I'm old.
And they always do.
Yep, I'm old. I'm out of shape. She bounced back pretty quickly. I am not.
You got about 10 years left, pal. I feel bad for you. I'm still getting it every year.
Yeah. So, anyway, appreciate you, bud. Good episode. Excited about week 8. if it's as crazy as week 7 was, man, we might be back here next week talking about taking a little bit on the chin.
We're
as
gonna
we did
level
this
out.
past weekend, but we need to level out for sure.
We're gonna level out.
All right, for excuse me, for Andy, for Raul, who couldn't be here tonight, he should be back next week. We'll be under supervision going forward. This has been another episode of the Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports. We are out.